Hello friends and welcome to the Gesundheit Kitchen, and today our kitchen is in remote Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I'm here today with my friend Stacy Martin of Seahorse Snacks.
Hi.
And, well, thanks for having us. Number one, this
Thank
place
you.
smells amazing, which is not a bad thing when you walk into a snack company, and we'll get to the snacks, but first, I mean, I was so excited to meet you because I follow you on the socials. And your story is so inspiring, and so I just wanted to take time to really get to know you so that those who have been recently diagnosed, or maybe they're taking care of someone who's been recently diagnosed, I think those success stories are so important. They're like lighthouses along the journey. So if you don't mind, let's talk about you.
Sure. Thanks for coming all the way up here. I appreciate it. So 4 years ago, I found out that I had this really rare genetic mutation. It's called CDH1. You may see it on my hat.
Yes, indeed.
So it gave me a very high chance of getting stomach cancer in my lifetime, and also a very high chance of getting breast cancer in my lifetime. And so my mom has it, and it's hereditary, so I got it from her.
Sure.
She was going through stage 4 cancer treatment, and they did a genetic panel test on her that was her cancer was unrelated to this.
Oh, wow.
And they found out that she had this gene. And so it took me about a year to get tested before I was willing to really bite the bullet and
Sure.
go. And so I got tested, and it came back positive. And so ironically, when I got tested, I got my notification on an app. And so I never got a phone call from a doctor.
Wow.
I didn't have a consult. I literally opened up my phone and it says, you are CDH positive, and it gave all the details of which mutation. And I was like, oh my God, am I gonna die? Like, I did not know what
Sure.
came along with that, even though I was in the office when my mom
Right.
was counseled about her results.
Yeah,
So-
that's, I just to share, my grandmother died of cancer, my sister died of passed of cancer, and so I thought I was somewhat educated, but it wasn't until my own diagnosis that I realized I know nothing. Yeah, it's a scary place to be.
Absolutely. I was in the room with my mom when she was being diagnosed with it. Well, that she found out she had the gene.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, that sounds really bad. But it was her really bad. It wasn't
Right,
my really
right.
bad yet. And so then when it became my really bad, I mean, your world gets very small very quickly, and the focus is unlike anything else. So I called that. My mom was being treated at the Mayo Clinic, and that's where her geneticist was. So that's where my test results came
Okay.
through. So I tried to call the doctor, and she was out. So I had to wait like 36 hours before I even got a consult of am I dying? Like,
Sure.
what's happening? What am I gonna do? So I was like spinning. And it was crazy. My life was very, very busy at that point in time. I had lived here in Chattanooga for a year. I was never sick. I didn't even have a doctor here. I would go to like the urgent care if I got
Sure.
a sinus infection or something. So the Mayo Clinic scheduled me for all of my assessments and to make sure that I was okay. And I was like, how long am I going to be there? They're like, I don't know, 2 weeks maybe. And I was like, I can't just
Yeah,
run away for
for
2
2 weeks,
weeks.
yeah.
And like, I can't explain this to anybody because I don't even know what's going
Sure.
on. So we went to the Mayo Clinic and got all of my tests. I got my endoscopy. I had my breast MRI. I had all the tests and everything. I looked healthy. There was no immediate sign
Right.
of concern. So that gave me a little bit of time to sort of figure things out on my end. So while I was at the Mayo Clinic, I found out about a study at the NIH, the National Institutes of Health.
Right.
So at first I did a lot of things. I went and found a Reiki healer to see if I could
Sure.
figure this out. I did research to see if I could have my genes edited somewhere in the world so that they could just take it out.
Sure.
And I could go on about my life. And I learned if they missed one, it was like they never took anything out.
Right.
So I would spend millions of dollars to
Yeah,
do
questionable
nothing.
outcomes.
Yeah. And then ultimately, with a 80% chance, that was the statistics I was given at the time. That was not something I was willing to sort of take the risk on because I had a really great life. I was traveling all over the place. I was doing all the things.
Sure.
And I wanted to continue doing that.
It's a powerful drive, right? That, and just out of curiosity, is there a number in your mind if they had said 40% chance? Is there a number where you would have said, I think I'll roll those dice, or do you think you would have taken it?
It's hard to say because that wasn't it. So I don't
Yeah, yeah.
know. And like, I mean, people say what they would do all the time,
Sure.
but when your feet are in those shoes
Right.
at that moment, you honestly don't know until it happens.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
So I don't know. Like, I think the average person has like a 2% or 8% or less chance of getting stomach cancer or
Right.
something. So I don't know. It's hard. But 80% was like, you couldn't argue with that. And then with the 5-year survival rate being less than 5%, if I even made it through this,
Sure.
if they found something
Right.
in my life, I don't think it was going to be great. And I was not interested in
Yeah.
rolling the dice. So
Well, quality of life is something I think the average healthy person takes for granted, and I did, and I'm sure you did as well, right?
For
You're
sure.
just doing your thing. So once you're sort of shown the sand in your hourglass,
Oh, yeah.
it is absolutely a forced perspective that, for the most part, I think changes you for the better mentally, as far as really being able to appreciate things. And it sounds so cliche to say it, but I almost wish that people could get the diagnosis without the disease, you know, just for a moment, just to kind of have that, again, that paradigm shift.
yeah.
But let's jump ahead then. So they removed the entirety of your stomach,
Yes, I had a prophylactic total gastrectomy at the NIH.
right? And then what was behind door number one when they opened up?
So I got home, settled back in after surgery, and I got the phone call that they found 17 spots of cancer when
Wow.
they did the pathology on my stomach.
So that was not only a no-brainer. I mean, that move saved your life. I mean, there's no.
I don't doubt that I would not be here
Yeah.
right now had I not done that. So
The adjustment period from, also total gastrectomy. What was that like for you, as far as the return to normal, of course, or finding the new normal?
yeah, because my life was like so busy and I was so active, I questioned if I ever was gonna get back to that. Like, I was literally traveling every week. I would come home, dump my suitcase, pack another one. If I was home long enough to buy groceries, it was like a big deal. So having to eat every 2 hours and just like I wouldn't eat a lot before this. So I would skip meals and make up for it. So I was very concerned about like, how am I gonna make it? So I took 16 weeks off for my like recovery off of work.
Right.
And I treated recovery like it was my job. I had never done that in my life. I had never been still. I had never, just followed the rules, but I'm so glad I did. So the first couple weeks, I was like an infant. So I would wake up, eat, set my timer, lay on the couch, fall asleep, the timer would go off again, wake up, eat, and that's all I did.
It sounds like my cat.
So, I'm sure he's got a great life. But yeah, at first I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna get out of this cycle.
Sure.
I don't see how this is gonna happen. But then like slowly, it's day by day, you make little strides and you don't realize how many strides you're making until you look back
Sure.
and you're like, oh my God, I literally just laid on the couch all day, but now, I'm going here, I'm going there. I remember my first trip to Costco. It was exhausting. My first trip to the grocery store took like 4 hours because I would read every single label.
And you're probably walking at a slower pace too, and you're seeing things that you had never seen before. Probably, it's a totally new pair of glasses.
Yeah, well, and that's where I learned about running out of energy. Like, because you have to bring your snacks with you.
That's right.
And at that point, right after surgery, it's like so critical. It's not negotiable to eat or not eat, to put it off. Like, I was like, okay, where's the
And not just snacks, but the right snacks, because
Yes.
my not to villainize anybody, but my first dietitian basically was saying you should eat all the candy, drink all milkshakes. You need to get all because they were looking at calories as a
Yes.
unilateral number.
there is the same.
Right,
Yeah.
and there's a difference between good calories and bad calories, which is a lot of what we try to talk about on this series and anybody that I speak with.
Yeah.
And it's like a eureka moment. Whether you're a foodie or in the business or not in the business, you have to kind of find your equilibrium.
Yep.
Everybody's engines are calibrated slightly different anyway, but then when you greatly redact someone's GI system, the body doesn't get the memo. So the pancreas is still doing what it thinks is the right amount of insulin, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
all of those things are still trying to, the body's really good at trying to find its equilibrium, but when you remove large components, it's tough to find that.
Yeah.
So it's up to you to kind of learn what can I tolerate, what can't I tolerate. So,
Yeah.
but you've taken that sort of to the next level, in that rather than becoming the label sleuth and trying to find snacks that work for you, you just decided, you know what, let's do this myself.
Well, eating every 2 hours, it gets boring eating the same thing
Sure.
over and over. Because once you sort of find your old reliables,
safe foods.
you sort of stick to those.
Yep.
And I tried to make a cornucopia of available choices because
Right.
I do get bored. But even that, like, a lot of snacks are boring. They taste artificial. I wanted to make something that I wanted to eat.
Sure.
And so that's sort of, I discovered nuts were a great snack. Living
Same here.
here in Chattanooga, it's really warm. I don't necessarily want to carry a cooler with me everywhere I go. So I discovered nuts. I could throw them in my purse. I could eat them on the go. Nobody knows that, this is a thing. I
Yeah.
can casually snack. And so I discovered Seahorse snacks. That's how it was born. I made them for me. And now it's my way of sharing my love of food and my story with the world.
I love it. I mean, to me, that is so inspiring when you take, it literally is making not only lemonade out of lemons, it's making a lemon souffle out of lemons, and then zesting the rind while you're at it, and then composting it. Like you're turning something, conceivably incredibly negative into something positive, and I think that is so admirable, and that inspires me, and I know will inspire others. Because again, trying in life, you're always trying to find who am I and what am I doing, and sometimes a tragedy can be turned into something positive. And
Absolutely.
there are people that run away from tragedy, and there are people that run towards it. And in a way, this is running towards it. And that look, I can't control my genetics. I can't control the fact that I don't have a stomach anymore, but I can control my nutrition. Like of the things we can't control, this is something that we can control, and why not do it in a way that's obviously, it checks all the boxes on the nutritional side of things, but it also is inspiring and tasty and makes you want to go back for more. So,
Thank you.
and it's a cool color, and you got the. For those who don't know, if you're new to the whole gastrectomy thing, the seahorse has no stomach.
Yes.
Which the other animal is the platypus, I
Yes.
believe, but which could have made a cool logo. But but the seahorse is definitely more iconic.
I didn't know what would come after the platypus if I named it something.
Yeah,
So
that's
Seahorse
right.
Snacks just kind of went a
Platypus
little bit.
provisions, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe
You can get
it'll
that
be a
website.
co-op down the
Still
road.
available.
Well, I'm excited to continue this conversation in the kitchen. I truly appreciate. Not everybody's comfortable to share their story, but I really admire you for doing it. And again, it's in my mind, it's paying it forward to the next person who kind of gets that diagnosis and is scared and doesn't know where to grab onto. This is the branch on the edge of the cliff to hold on to when you hear stories that that are successful. So we're going to go in sort of our next segment, go and go in the kitchen and utilize some of the snacks for a dish. So make sure you tune back into that. It'll be a separate video. As always, thank you for joining us on the Gesundheit Kitchen, and we will see you in the Seahorse Snacks kitchen next time.